I've often criticized USA versus the World for being one of the more least entertaining episodes that A&W produces every year, but with the A&W 10 edition of USA versus the World, it's still true, but at least this is the least bad edition of USA versus the World they've ever done, right? Well, anyway, hello, my name is William from 222 Productions, and I am here to talk to you about American Ninja Warrior 10, USA vs. the World special in approximately 20 minutes or less, starting now. Especially because I don't want to talk about it for more than 20 minutes. Alright, so here's the deal. I'm just going to go out and say right away, this was the least bad episode of USA vs. the World they've ever done. Did I like it still? Not entirely. No, not really. I was mostly just kind of bored and uninterested. I had a few issues. There was some stuff I genuinely liked. There were aspects of it I liked. I'll give him that. But, like, as a whole, you know, I still find USA vs. the World to be a very flawed competition in general. But one thing I just want to quickly go through is A&W Nation has a survey on their website asking about the USA vs. the World special. So I'm going to go through these questions really quickly. Did you enjoy having only 3 teams compete? Well, for those of you unaware, this time around, we had Team USA, Team Europe, and Team Australia. So no Latin America, no Asia. Honestly, like, I think in theory, the USA versus the World would be better if it was, you know, like a whole bunch of countries all around the world, having only 3 teams. I don't know. I think I kind of like it better with 4 teams, but like without the mid-show elimination process that they did. I think there's better opportunities. So I'm gonna say no. Would you change Team USA's lineup? So one of the interesting things they did this year with A&W versus the World was they put extra emphasis on female competitors. Which is fine, but at the same time, when you look at the lineup for Team USA, it's interesting. My first thought was, man, it sure was nice of A&W to intentionally nerf Team USA by not including the competitor with the best performance during the regular season. Because, like, here's the thing. Drew's great. He won the $100,000, but objectively, Sean had a better season. No one else hit 4 buzzers during the A&W 10 season. Drew didn't. He failed the Miami finals. Sean got like a little cameo in one of the segments, I think during stage 2. But it's just like not including Sean Bryan is very odd. Very odd decision, especially because like only 2 people made stage 3. He was one of them. The other members, Jess Labrecque, Barclay Stockett, Nagi Richardson, and Matisse Hawaii. Matisse was obviously chosen because the producers like him and they want to sort of push him as like this real young, up-and-coming star sort of thing. It's very much like a TV decision to have Matisse on the team because like Matisse did good, but like, you know, I'm not going to, like, take it away from him. You know, he's a good competitor, but, like, you know, a lot of people failed the wingnuts like he did in season 10. And, like, the way they were promoting him throughout the season, you were thinking, like, he was going to have this huge breakout season where he was going to make it to stage 3 because you had all these competitors, like, endorsing Matisse about how good he is. And it's like, even though he did well, it was a bit disappointing. You know, in terms of having women, Barclay and Jessie Labrecque were probably the 2 of the best picks. The only argument you can make is you could argue that maybe Barclay should be replaced with Megan Martin. But other than that, it's fine. Like, Jess Labrecque was the best female in stage 1, so she's obvious. Nagi, I understand. He does well, and the producers love him. Like, just from the advertising and the editing, it's obvious that the producers love Nagi. And Drew, Drew deserves to be on the team. I even though I say, like, oh, Sean Bryan technically did better than him, he's still Drew. He's still really good. Next question. Do you enjoy having all new competitors for Team Australia and Team Europe? Well, Team Australia is brand new, so not much, they have to be all new competitors. But the obvious missing competitor from Team Europe is Sean McCall, who just wasn't invited. I've teased him in the past because Sean is technically Canadian, not European, even though he's like residing in, I think, France is where they claim he's from. But yeah, they didn't invite him, and it was all new competitors. Like, I think the theme for this episode is Nerf. There was a lot of nerfing going around. Team Europe was super nerfed in terms of the lineup. I'll talk more about the individual competitors when I talk about their runs, but yeah, it's interesting. Would you have changed the run order for Team USA? They won, so it's hard to argue with that. Would you have changed the run order for Team Europe? Yeah. We'll talk about Stage 3 in a little bit, because that's an interesting decision made there. Would you have changed the run order for Team Australia? It's hard to argue against what they did. Maybe Olivia should have run Stage 1, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, she probably would have done okay on Stage 2 if it wasn't for that mistake. But let's talk about the actual episode itself. Two other questions was what should be done differently, what should be kept the same. I will talk about those as we talk about this. So one of the things that I want to discuss is I need to give the show credit where credit is due. Many times I have criticized A&W for their choice of opening music song. I will say this song that they chose, legitimately good. I legitimately think that they actually went with a good song selection for their intro. So props to the editors. The intro for USA versus the World was actually good. So this show, what would I like to done differently? I think the format of USA versus the World needs to change. It still uses the heat system, so because there's 3 teams for every heat, whoever takes first place gets 2 points, whoever takes second place gets 1 point, third place gets a big fat goose egg. I've said many times the heat format is flawed, and I will always refer back to the A&W 6 USA versus the World, where on Stage 3, Team Japan was the only team to have 2 people clear Stage 3, and yet they still finished with 0 points. If that's not a sign that your format is flawed, I don't know what else is. And yeah, I know about the backstage shenanigans. You don't have to mention it in the comments. Still, like, that's ultimately the biggest reason why the format is flawed. But for Heat 1, basically the one other thing is that top 2 teams move on to the final stage. So after stages 1, 2, and 3, 2 teams with the highest scores move on to the final stage. Heat 1, Barclay Starnock for Team USA was the first one. So one of the things that I noticed was that they changed the name of Jeep Run to the Tire Run, and I'm not sure, but I almost feel like they nerfed the obstacle a little bit. I feel like that jump to the steering wheel was easier. That's the only change I might have noticed on Stage 1. I feel like everything else was like pretty much the same. But Barclay ended up completing Stage 1, which is good for her. She did it in 3 minutes and 2 seconds. They mentioned that it was her first buzzer ever, which surprised me. And then I kind of realized, yeah, she never completed a city qualifier course. Every time she minted up the warped wall in city regionals, it's because it's during the finals. It's during the second round. So she's never actually hit a buzzer. So it's interesting. And I'll say this. I'm going to touch a little bit more on this subject in a little bit. But I just want to say that obviously this is a big deal for her. I'm glad for her. You know, she should be happy with her accomplishment. I don't like that the show, and again, this has nothing to do with Barclay specifically, I don't like that the show themselves refer to her as the third woman to clear stage 1. Because USA versus the World and the main season is two very different things. They're two very different situations. First off, Barclay, honestly, I think putting Barclay's run in the same category as Jesse Graff and Alyssa Beard's runs diminish the achievement of Jesse and Alyssa, because you're lowering the bar for what counts as woman clearing stage 1. And so, and again, this doesn't take anything away from Barclay. This is just how USA is quantifying it. A&W is quantifying it. Because Barclay already had practice, because she ran the course once during the main season, and there's no time limit. It is an entirely different situation. You know, if this was the main season, she would have failed. There's less pressure to do the course quickly when there's no time limit. Obviously, you still have to do the obstacles, but it's an entirely different situation. So I hope that, let's just say, for example, in AW 11, Michelle Warnke clears stage 1 during the main season. I hope that they refer to her as the third woman to clear stage 1 and not the fourth woman to clear stage 1, because I just think that by putting Barclay's, this run of Barclay's in the same conversation, you're lowering the bar for what counts as an achievement for the women. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Again, it has nothing to do with Barclay. It's just how A&W quantifies things. Anyway, so for Europe was Georgia Monroe from Ninja Warrior UK. She, unfortunately, she was the last woman standing in one of the seasons of Ninja Warrior UK. But she unfortunately fell on the double dipper. She landed on the landing pad on the corner, but fell backwards. So unfortunately, she was out. And that was Jack Wilson from Australian Ninja Warrior. And his whole thing is that he's a native Australian. His ancestors are indigenous to the continent and country. A bit of a messy dismount on Jeep Run, but he was able to clear in 2 minutes 30.61 seconds, and so he scores the 2 points from Australia. USA gets 1, and Europe has nothing. Heat 2 for USA versus the World. First up, Europe, Oliver Elderman from Ninja Warrior Germany. He was the last man standing in one of the seasons. He had a big save on the double dipper. He was hanging onto the side of the landing platform. It was cool. That was, I think, one of my favorite moments was that save of the entire episode, because it was just really cool. And then he had a big save on the razor beams, where he just basically skipped the third razor beam, but he grabbed onto the platform, pulled himself up. Razor beams they need to get rid of the razor beams next season. It's not worth it. No one failed the entire season, and unless someone fails in All Stars, it's going to have a 0 fail rate, and I don't care for that. He ended up clearing in 2:49.36, and then they had Team Australia at Ashlyn Herbert. He was known for being fast on Australian Ninja Warrior. He ended up clearing in 2:09.8, and for Team USA, then they had Matisse Owahi. I didn't know this. Matisse was actually born in France originally and moved to the US when he was, I think they said 8, I want to say. He was young. Unsurprisingly, he had one of the fastest times in Stage 1 during the regular season, then he cleared it again in 1:27.18. So, the final score after... Oh, I messed that up. So the final score after Stage 1 is that USA and Australia were tied with 3 points each, and Europe had nothing, so they had a lot of ground to make up. Then going on to Stage 2, Heat 1. One of the things I want to mention is that, once again, I don't remember where. It might have been during Barclay's run, but they mentioned Casey Catanzaro, and I just thought, I just cringed a little bit. I got a little stop it. Stop mentioning her. She's gone. My relationship with watching Casey is very weird because, like, these days, whenever she's mentioned on A&W, I'm just like, stop it. Like, I'm tired of hearing her. And again, not her fault. But, like, just to give you a reference, I watched this on the Monday, not Sunday when it aired, because on Sunday was the Royal Rumble for WWE. And there's no way I'm going to stop watching my favorite wrestling event of the year to watch my least favorite A&W event of the year. And Casey was actually a surprise entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble. And when I was watching her in wrestling, I'm like, yay! Oh my god, this is awesome. She was great during the Royal Rumble. I was like genuinely surprised and kind of like, happy to see her. But like you mentioned on A&W, I'm just like, stop it. It's weird. So it's like Casey the wrestler, fully behind it. Casey the Ninja, I'm just tired of it. And it's all A&W's fault, just with like how they presented her. Biggest difference in Stage 2 is obviously Wingnut Alley. It is down to 3 wingnuts again, like last year, and an aggressive rotation on that third wingnut. It had me laughing just how big that rotation was. A bit comical because they had to make it fit. Like, there's no need for 4 wingnuts in Wingnut Alley. Just do a 3 wingnut setup. It's fine. No one will complain. But anyway, the other major change was that after the salmon ladder, you are now given a rest bar that you're allowed to sit on and take a breather on before you do Deja Vu. This was not in the main season, and it probably made a big difference. So Nagi Richardson was the first person to take on Stage 2 for Team USA. They talked about how during the main season he had an asthma attack. And so hopefully he won't do it this time around. He ended up clearing the course in 3 minutes and 50 seconds, so a bit of redemption for Nagi. And then Javier Canor, I believe, got fast forward actually for Team Europe. He got DQ'd on the Deja Vu for not doing the whole obstacle and dismounting early. Because he got stuck, yeah. And then Team Australia, Bryson Klein, he's a circus trainer, and he does circus training and rock climbing. He ended up clearing faster than Nagi in 3 minutes, 42.83 seconds. This was really cool to watch. In that, like, it's trying to see him beat the time, see if he can clear the water walls fast enough. This is why I always advocate for time limits on courses in general, and I think this is one of the issues I have with USA versus the World, in that there's no maximum time limit, so it kind of, in situations where the person who goes last only needs to clear the course, it takes away some of the drama, especially in Stage 2, because the water walls are technically unfailable. I'll get more to that in a little bit. So Team Australia takes the lead, surprisingly. And then for Heat 2, Olivia Vivian took on the course for Team Australia. For those of you who don't remember, Olivia was the women's National Ninja League champion last year. She unfortunately failed Epic Catch and Release. Just the dismount. She failed the dismount. Don't know what went wrong there, but that's unfortunately what happened. And then Team Europe, Iris Mata from Ninja Warrior Spain, or Matamoros, I don't know. They did the dubbed over segment for his profile with the stereotypical accent. He's from Spain, so he was on Ninja Warrior Spain. He ended up failing at Wingnut Alley. It took him 3 minutes and 11 seconds to get there. So finally, for Team USA was Jessie Labrecque. Basically, she got to the wingnuts slower than Iris, so she had to clear the wingnuts. She was favoring her back before the wingnuts, and they took the clock off the screen. Now, because they said, time doesn't matter, she has to clear otherwise, which is interesting. At the same time, It's an interesting editing choice. She ends up clearing the wingnuts, clearing the course. Akbar had this line of like, "Do it for your country." It's like, calm down there, Akbar. This is American Ninja Warrior. This isn't the Olympics. This is not that big of a deal. And she ended up clearing the course. And Christine had this amazingly stupid line of she went to Jessie and said, "You're the first woman to clear stage 2 since Jessie Graff," which is an amazing line because she's literally saying, "You're the first woman to do this since the last woman who did this." It's like, no kidding. That's true every time someone clears a course. You're the first person to do it since the last person who did it. It's like, I'm sorry, it's such a boneheaded move. I am curious how long it took her to clear the course, because they took the clock off the screen, so it is impossible to know how long she spent resting for the wingnuts. I don't know. I'm curious to see if she did it in less than 4.5 minutes. I will say that when they eventually have a woman clear stage 2 on the main season, I just hope they refer to that woman as the first woman to clear stage 2. Because like I said with the Barclay thing, there's a big difference between clearing on USA versus the World and clearing in the main season. And so I just hope that whichever woman does it gets her just due. So, moving on to stage 3. Heading to stage 3, Europe only has 1 point, Australia has 5 points, USA has 6 points. Drew was first up for stage 3. He did good. He was looking real good. He was able to get past the cliffhanger this time around. He didn't use his feet on the peg cloud. I don't know if that's a better strategy than what Joe used, just because he's only the second person I've seen him do it. He ended up going out on Cane Lane, though. His grip gave out towards the end of the obstacle, and he ended up going in the water, which is interesting because he admitted that he went for the 100,000 during the main season of stage 3, and so he rushed the obstacles and didn't rest properly. And so I guess USA versus the World kind of showed that like there's a good chance he wouldn't have made it to stage 4 during the main season. We'll never know for sure because main season and USA, two different things, but it's interesting. And then we had Team Europe. We had Ben Poulsen, who also competed in NNL last year. Ended up going out on the cliffhanger. He's a big dude. And finally, Katie McDonald for Team Europe. I have no idea why they put her in stage 3. Why did they do that? I don't understand. To my understanding, she hasn't competed in Ninja Warrior UK since like the year she beat the Warped Wall in Ninja Warrior UK. So she's kind of like out of season, so to speak. Ninja Warrior UK is weird with like how they invite people to compete on the show, because I think there was like 1 year where like they invited almost no one back. But she ended up going out on guard, but like not even like the transition point of on guard. She just sort of like fell off the bar in the first section. One other thing that I noticed with on guard is that I feel like when they redesign the obstacle, they should try to, I don't know, maybe make the guards a little more solid, because like they're only hanging from one point, so they got that like wiggle to it. And because I feel like one of the competitors, I think it was Ben, when he was doing the transition, he like hit the side because he did it like a little too early, so he hit the sides. But like because there's a bend to the bar, it wasn't an issue. He was still able to like just slide through and get to the other side. I feel like that's like a change they should make to on guard. Anyway, at that point, Europe mathematically could not do enough, get enough points to move on to the final stage. So They ended it right there. Or did they? So, for those of you unaware, there actually was a second Stage 3 run, Stage 3 heat, between Nagi Richardson for USA, Javier for Team Europe, and Olivia Vivian for Team Australia. So thanks to some of my sources, I was able to find out what happened exactly. Basically, in the other heat, both Olivia and Javier failed on guard, and Nagi Richardson failed Kane Lane. He failed, according to what I was told, he failed the jump portion of Kane Lane, the transition from rails. So it kind of sucks that we didn't get to see that, especially because, kind of wanted to see more of the latter half of the course of Stage 3. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Anyway, final stage is Australia versus USA. Nothing else matters. The slate's wiped clean. All that matters is this one final stage rope climb. Nothing else changes. It came down between Drew Drechsel and Ashton Herbert, or Herbert. There was a bucket of beer on top of the final stage for Ashlyn. Not surprisingly, Drew ended up winning between the two of them. He ended up getting to the top first. What was surprising was that Drew did it in longer than 30 seconds. He did it in 33:43. So if he had did that during the main season, that would not be enough to beat the final stage. So it's interesting. But in the end, Team USA wins, and that's that. And, like I said, it's not the worst thing they've ever done. It's the best USA versus the World special. But it's USA versus the World. It's flawed. It's generally boring to watch. It had some interesting moments, but, I wasn't offended watching anything. It was just there. It was just there, taking him time. Whatever. And that's it for me. So let me know what you think about USA versus the World. Do you agree with some of the things I said? I don't know. But thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you subscribe for more Ninja Warrior discussion and videos of the like. And I hope to see you all next time. Later.